Howdy Moz fans, and welcome to another edition of Whiteboard Friday. This week we're chatting about Google's big change to the snippet length. This is the display length of the snippet for any given result in the search results that Google provides. This is on both mobile and desktop. And it sort of impacts the meta description, which is how many snippets are written, right? They're taken from the meta description tag of the web page. And Google essentially said just last week, hey, we have officially increased the length, the recommended length and the display length of what we will show in the text snippet of standard organic results. So I'm illustrating that for you here. I did a search for net neutrality bill, something that's on the minds of a lot of Americans right now. And you can see here, right, that this article from The Hill, which is a recent article, it was 2 days ago, has a much longer text snippet than what we would normally expect to find, right? So in fact, I went ahead and counted this one and then showed it here. So basically, at the old 165 character limit, which is what you would have seen prior to the middle of December on most every search result, occasionally Google would have a longer one for very specific kinds of search results, but more than 90%, according to data from Systrix, which put out a great report, and I'll link to it here, more than 90% of search snippets were 165 characters or less prior to the middle of November. And then Google added basically a few more lines. So now on mobile, and desktop, instead of an average of 2 or 3 lines, we're talking 3, 4, 5, sometimes even 6 lines of text. And so this snippet here is 266 characters that Google's displaying. The next result from Save the Internet is 273 characters. And again, this might be because Google sort of realized, hey, we almost got all of this in here. Let's just carry it through to the end rather than showing the ellipsis. But you can see that 165 characters would cut off right here. This one actually does a good job of displaying things. So imagine a searcher is querying for something in your field, and they're just looking for a basic understanding of what it is, right? So they've never heard of net neutrality. They're not sure what it is. And so they can read here, net neutrality is the basic principle that prohibits internet service providers like AT&T, Comcast, and Verizon from speeding up, slowing down, or blocking any, and that's where it would cut off, or that's where it would have cut off in November. Now, if I got a snippet like that, I need to visit the site, right? I've got to click through in order to learn more. I can't just, that doesn't tell me enough to give me the data to go through. Now Google has tackled this before with things like a featured snippet, right, that sit at the top of the search results that are more expansive, short answer. But in this case, I can get the rest of it because now, as of mid-November, right, Google has lengthened this. So now I can get any content, applications, or websites you want to use. Net neutrality is the way that the internet has always worked. Now, you might quibble and say, this is not a full, thorough understanding of what net neutrality is. And I agree. But for a lot of searchers, this is good enough. They don't need to click anymore, right? This extension around 165 to 275, or 273 in this case, has really done the trick, right? And so this can have a bunch of changes to SEO, too. So the change that happened here is that Google updated basically 2 things. One, they updated the snippet length. And 2, they updated their guidelines around it. So Google's had historic guidelines that said, well, you want to keep your meta description tag between about 160 and 180 characters. I think that was the number. And they've updated that. They've updated it to where they say there's no official meta description recommended length. But on Twitter, Danny Sullivan said that he would probably not make that greater than 320 characters. And in fact, we and other data providers that collect a lot of search results didn't find many that extended beyond 300. So I think that's a reasonable thing. When did this happen? It was starting in about mid-November. November 22nd is when Systrix's data set starts to notice the increase, and it was over 50%. Now it's sitting at about 51% of search results that have these longer snippets in at least one of the top 10 as of December 2nd. Here's the amazing thing, though. 51% of search results have at least one. Many of those, because they're still pulling old meta descriptions or meta descriptions that SEOs optimized for the 165 character limit, are still very short. So if you're the person in your search results, especially it's holiday times right now, right? Lots of e-commerce action. If you're the person to go update your important pages right now, you might be able to get more real estate in the search results than anyone else any of your competitors in the SERPs because they're not updating theirs. So how's this going to really change SEO? Well, two things, three. It sort of changes how marketers should write and optimize the meta description, right? We're going to be writing a little bit differently because we have more space. We are going to be trying to entice people to click, but we're going to be very conscientious that we want to try and answer a lot of this in the search result itself, because if we can, there's a good chance that Google will rank us higher, even if we're actually sort of sacrificing clicks by helping the searcher get the answer they need in the search result. Second, this may impact click-through rate. We'll be looking at jump shot data over the next few months and year ahead. We think that there's two likely ways it could do it. Probably negatively, meaning fewer clicks on less complex queries, right? But conversely, possible it will get more clicks on some more complex queries because people are more enticed by the longer description. And fingers crossed, that's kind of what you want to do as a marketer. Third and last, it may lead to lower click-through rate further down in the search results, right? So if you think about the fact that this is taking up the real estate that was taken up by 3 results with 2 as of a month ago, well, maybe people won't scroll as far down, right? And maybe the ones that are higher up will in fact draw more of the clicks, and thus being further down on page 1 will have less value than it used to. What are things that you should do right now? Number 1, make a priority list of you should probably already have this, but of your most important landing pages by search traffic, the ones that receive the most search traffic on your website, organic search. And then I would go and re-optimize those meta descriptions for the longer limits. Now, you can judge as you will. My advice would be go to the SERPs that are sending you the most traffic, that you're ranking for the most. Go check out the limits. They're probably between about 250 and 300, and you can optimize somewhere in there. The second thing I would do is if you have internal processes or your CMS has rules around how long you can make a meta description tag, you're going to have to update those probably from the old limit of somewhere in the 160, 180 range to the new 230 to 320 range. It doesn't look like many are smaller than 230 now, at least limit-wise, and it doesn't look like anything's particularly longer than 320. So somewhere in there is where you're going to want to stay. Good luck with your new meta descriptions, with your new snippet optimization. We'll see you again next week for another edition of Whiteboard Friday. Take care.